There comes a moment in every life where change doesn't knock, it simply walks in, not with warning, not with delay, but with divine urgency. This is not the time to question the shift. This is the time to be ready. Because when the signal comes, it won't wait for your hesitation, it will reward your preparation. There are moments in life when everything changes, not slowly, not over time, but suddenly. One day it looks like nothing is happening. The next day, you're standing in the middle of movement. Doors open without warning. Opportunities find you uninvited. And the shift is so swift. If you're not ready, you'll miss it. This is what I call a destiny departure. It's when your current environment becomes too small for your next assignment. It's when your comfort zone becomes your confinement zone. And the shift doesn't come with fireworks. It comes with whispers, with signs, with silent pushes in the spirit. You begin to feel uncomfortable in places you used to feel powerful. You begin to feel restless in roles you used to dominate. Have you ever felt that, like something is ending, but nothing looks like it's beginning? Like you can't explain it, but you just know I can't stay here. That's destiny calling. That's your next level demanding your exit. But here's the problem. Many people miss the move because they're not packed. They're trying to hold on to people, positions, and patterns that were only meant for their last season. They are praying for change, but refusing to prepare. You don't wait to get ready. You live ready. Because the kind of shift I'm talking about doesn't give you 30 days notice. It shows up overnight and expects you to move immediately. You see, when destiny says go, hesitation becomes disobedience. When purpose says move, delay becomes costly. You can't afford to miss your moment because your bags weren't packed. This is a season for clarity, for discernment, for obedience, immediate obedience. Because the next opportunity is not coming with a long explanation, it's coming with momentum, and you better be moving with it or it will move without you. Let me ask you something. What if the breakthrough you've been praying for is already here, but you're still waiting for a sign? What if your next level isn't coming in a year? It's coming tonight. What if all that's missing is your readiness? Pack your bag mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Detach from what no longer serves where you're going. Drop the weight. Let go of what's expired. Because in this kind of season, the train doesn't stop twice. If you're not on it, you'll be left watching it pass. So here's what I need you to understand. Sudden seasons are real, and when they come, they don't wait for you to understand them. They require you to trust them. You don't have to know where the road ends. You just need to know it's time to leave where you are. But how do you know when to move? How do you recognize the silent signal that tells you the shift is now? That is where we're going next. There is a rhythm to destiny, a time, a pattern, and if you're not careful, you'll miss it. Not because it wasn't there, but because you were too comfortable to move when it moved. Purpose doesn't stay in one place forever. The season you're in right now, it was only meant to be temporary. And the problem with comfort is, it makes temporary feel permanent. There's a moment when the cloud over your life begins to shift. You can feel it, even when you can't explain it. Something that used to flow stops flowing. What once felt like alignment now feels like agitation. That's not random. That's not emotional. That's the sign the cloud is moving. And when the cloud moves, you better move with it. Because everything connected to your next level is tied to obedience in motion, not comfort in delay. Too many people stay parked in places where they once prospered, thinking that because it worked then, it will still work now. But destiny doesn't operate on nostalgia. It moves on timing. Let me ask you, what shifted in your life recently? What are you ignoring because it's inconvenient to admit that your season has ended? That relationship, that assignment, that opportunity you're still holding on to. What if it's no longer aligned with where you're going? Movement is the evidence of growth, and sometimes the only way to receive more is to release where you've been. But here's the tension. The cloud doesn't always tell you where it's going. It just tells you when it's leaving. That's where trust comes in. You don't need all the answers. You just need the awareness to recognize, this place has nothing left for me. When you move with the cloud, you stay in rhythm with destiny. You walk indoors before they close. You exit situations before they collapse. You step into timing, and timing is everything. Delay will cost you more than fear ever will, because when the cloud leaves, it takes provision with it. It takes favor with it. It takes access with it. And if you stay behind, you'll find yourself working harder with fewer results, wondering why it no longer feels the same. Listen, your next is never behind you. It's always ahead. So why are you still looking backward? The signal is shifting. The cloud is rising, and the season is calling. You don't need a sign when you have a signal. You don't need a map when you have momentum. So are you in motion, or are you still trying to make sense of something that's already moved? Because the cloud moves quietly, but it leaves loud consequences for those who stay. Now the question becomes, what if it moves without warning? What if you don't get time to prepare? Then you'd better already be packed. Life doesn't come with announcements. Destiny doesn't give you a schedule. There are no loudspeakers telling you, next stop purpose. No countdown, no flashing signs, just movement, quiet, subtle, divine movement. And if you're not ready, if you're not packed, you'll miss it. This journey you're on, it's not a sightseeing tour, it's a mission. And missions don't always come with full itineraries. You don't always get to know when the next shift will come. All you know is, you've been called to move when the time is right. But the time, it doesn't make appointments. It arrives, and it expects you to be ready, not getting ready. Think about a train that doesn't announce it stops. It only opens the door for a moment. No bell, no warning, just a brief pause, and then it's gone. That's how transitions often come. That's how opportunities often show up. Brief, sudden, unannounced. And if you're still packing your bag when the door opens, you'll watch your next ride pull away while you stand there with unfinished plans. So what's in your bag? Have you packed light enough to move quickly? Or are you still dragging the weight of old seasons, past failures, expired relationships, and familiar pain? Because when the moment comes, when that window opens, you won't have time to unpack and repack. You'll only have time to go. This is why preparation is so critical. You don't wait until it happens. You live like it's already on the way. You stay ready, stay alert, stay packed. Because your next isn't coming with comfort, it's coming with speed. You won't have time to call everybody, explain everything, or even understand it fully yourself. The moment will demand motion, and those who hesitate will be left behind. Let me ask you, are you living prepared? Or are you still hoping you'll get more time? What if the door opens tomorrow? What if the opportunity you've been waiting for comes next week? What if your name is being mentioned in rooms you haven't even entered yet? The question isn't if it's coming, it's when. And when it does, it won't slow down to match your pace. You'll either be ready, or you. And readiness isn't an act, it's a lifestyle. You've got to be packed in your mind, packed in your heart, packed in your focus. Because when the door opens, you won't have time to choose, only time to move. So here's the truth. The next stop will not be announced. The next season won't send a notice. And if you're not packed when the door opens, you won't get a second chance to board. But here's what's even more important. What if the shift has already started, and you didn't even know? Purpose doesn't speak in words. It speaks in motion. When life starts to shift, when doors begin to open, when silence turns into momentum, that's purpose talking. And it only speaks one language: movement. If you're still standing still second guessing, still waiting for every detail, you've already fallen out of rhythm with what was meant for you. This is not the time to be still. This is not the time to camp in comfort. This is the time to move, because nothing in purpose stays where it started. Growth moves. Destiny moves. Seasons move. And if you're not willing to move, you're not ready for what's next. You've been sensing it, haven't you? That inner pull, that restlessness, that quiet, constant nudge saying, you can't stay here. That's not confusion. That's your calling trying to get your attention. That's the next version of you knocking, saying, let me in. But the door only opens to those in motion, not those who are thinking, not those who are planning, those who are moving. Movement doesn't mean you have all the answers. It means you trust the assignment enough to take the next step, even if the full picture isn't clear. Waiting for clarity is where most people get stuck. But purpose rarely gives you the blueprint. It gives you a burden and expects you to build as you go. Let me ask you, how long have you been sitting at the same intersection? How many signs do you need before you realize the green light is already on? What are you still trying to figure out that you should have already walked into? The truth is, motion activates momentum. The moment you take a step, the next one becomes clearer. The moment you say yes, the path begins to respond. But until you move, you stay in cycles, rehearsing the same vision, repeating the same prayers, reliving the same frustration. Why? Because purpose only partners with progress, and progress requires movement, even if it's small, even if it's scary, even if you don't feel ready. Especially when you don't feel ready, the longer you wait, the heavier it becomes. But when you move, you break the weight of hesitation. You break the grip of fear. You shift into acceleration. This season won't reward comfort. It will reward courage. And courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers, just take one step. Because one step in the right direction is more powerful than 1,000 ideas with no action. Get ready to go. Not someday. Now. Because everything connected to your future is already in motion. And if you're not moving with it, you're moving away from it. But what if the signal to move isn't loud at all? What if it comes in silence? The loudest moments in life are not always the most significant. Sometimes the greatest shifts, the most divine transitions, the most pivotal turning points, they come in complete silence. No thunder, no lightning, no grand announcement, just a stillness, a subtle shift, a quiet release in the atmosphere. And if you aren't sensitive enough to perceive it, you'll miss a move that was meant to change everything. Purpose doesn't always shout, sometimes it whispers. It doesn't always knock on your door. Sometimes it passes by slowly, waiting to see if you're tuned in. The transition you've been asking for may not come with signs and wonders. It may not feel like a breakthrough. It may simply feel like a knowing deep inside that something is no longer the same. But here's the challenge: silence requires sensitivity. Stillness requires discernment. If you only move when things are loud, you'll stay stuck when life gets quiet. But those who are destined to lead, those who are called to shift atmospheres and break barriers, they don't wait for noise. They're trained to hear what others ignore, to sense what others overlook. They don't need confirmation to act. They move because they're connected. Let me ask you, have you grown so used to noise that you can't hear direction without it? Have you trained your soul to only respond when it's convenient? Because real movement, divine movement, isn't always convenient. It's precise. And it often shows up in the middle of silence, when everything seems still, when nothing looks different on the outside, but everything is changing on the inside. And if you aren't tuned in, you'll call a season closed that's actually wide open. You'll mislabel a door as locked when it's already been opened. Silently. That's why silence doesn't mean absence. It means attention. The question is, are you paying? Every major transition in your life will test your sensitivity. Will you catch the shift while it's happening? Or will you only recognize it after it's passed? Because by the time you see the fruit, the root was already growing. By the time you feel the breakthrough, the opening already occurred, quietly. That's why stillness isn't weakness. It's strategy. It trains you to listen deeply, to perceive shifts without proof, to respond without applause. Because sometimes your moment won't come with clarity. It'll come with conviction. So stay sensitive. Stay quiet enough to hear direction, even when life is loud. Because the signal that changes everything may not come in a shout. It may come in a whisper. But what do you do when the whisper tells you to leave before you're ready? And yet there it is, a deep pull, a quiet urgency, a command in your spirit that says, it's time to go. But here's the part that makes it hard. You don't feel ready. You're still packing, still questioning, still processing, still trying to understand why now. Why like this? Why so soon? But purpose doesn't ask for your permission. It only waits for your obedience. You will not always feel ready. You will not always feel qualified. But there comes a time when the season won't wait, and your next requires a departure before you have full clarity. This is where so many people miss it. They think readiness is a feeling. It's not. Readiness is a decision, a posture, a mindset, a discipline. Because sometimes the moment you're waiting on is waiting on you to move, to trust, to obey. You've been asking for a sign, haven't you? But what if the unease you're feeling isn't fear? It's your future calling. What if the reason you're so uncomfortable in your current space is because your next season has already started, and staying would only delay your arrival? Let me ask you, what if staying is more dangerous than leaving? What if holding on to what's familiar is what's actually costing you growth? Sometimes the very thing we think we need more time for is the thing we should have already walked away from. Leaving doesn't always feel good. It rarely feels convenient, but it is necessary, because purpose doesn't grow in stagnation. And when the time comes to move, your current place will start to push you out, not because it's against you, but because it has finished its assignment in your life. And you must learn to honor the expiration date on environments, on routines, on relationships, on comfort zones. You've outgrown some spaces, and deep down you know it. You've outgrown some mindsets, some habits, some excuses. But here's the hard truth. Growth demands exit. An exit requires courage, not comfort, not clarity, courage. You may not have every answer, but you have the instruction. You may not know every detail, but you know it's time. And that's all you need to walk into your next with faith. Not fear, with boldness. Not delay, with purpose. Not panic. Because when you leave before you feel ready, you make room for the future version of you to show up. And trust me, they're stronger than you think, wiser than you imagine, and more prepared than you feel. But here's the question that follows. What do you do when the journey gets lonely, and familiar voices fade away? There comes a point in every shift, every season of elevation, when silence becomes louder, not because you're alone, but because certain voices can't go with you. The journey changes, and so do the people who walk it with you. It's not rejection, it's refinement. It's not abandonment, it's alignment. Elevation demands separation, and the higher you go, the fewer voices you can afford to carry. See, not every voice is designed for your next. Some were only assigned to your past. They were perfect for where you've been, but not for where you're headed. And if you keep trying to bring everyone with you, you'll either slow down or get pulled back, because not everyone has the capacity to walk at the pace your purpose now requires. You've got to be brave enough to walk forward, even if it means walking alone. You've got to be strong enough to say, I love you, but I can't stay here. Because when destiny calls, it doesn't negotiate with comfort zones, and it doesn't consult your circle. Let me ask you, who are you still trying to explain yourself to? Who are you waiting for validation? Who are you shrinking around just to stay accepted? Because elevation exposes who was with you for the mission, and who was only with you for the moment. And here's the truth. Everybody claps for the idea of growth, until your growth convicts their complacence. Everybody says they support your next level, until your movement starts to reveal their stagnation. That's when the volume shifts. That's when distance grows. That's when the room that once felt familiar starts to feel foreign. But don't misread the silence. Don't let the absence of certain voices make you doubt your assignment. You're not off track, you're just outgrowing environments that were never built to hold your next dimension. Some connections were seasonal, some were situational, and some were only sent to get you to the edge. But they were never meant to cross with you into destiny. And it hurts, doesn't it? Letting go of what once felt like home, releasing hands that once held you together. But purpose has a way of pruning your circle, not to punish you, but to prepare you, because where you're going, you need voices that push, not pacify. Voices that stretch, not settle. Voices that recognize your potential, not just your past. So if you've been feeling the silence, don't fear it, embrace it. Because in that space, you'll start to hear a different voice, a clearer voice, the one that's been waiting to speak all along. But once you embrace that voice, once you walk forward, without the noise, you'll face the final test of the shift. Can you sustain the blessing without sabotaging it? You've asked for it, haven't you? You've prayed, you've believed, and now the door is open. The blessing you've been waiting for is here. But here's the question: can you sustain it? Can you handle the weight of what you've asked for? Can you grow into the person who can carry this new season without sabotaging it? It's easy to say you're ready for more, but when more arrives, it tests you in ways you never imagined. Success is not just about getting what you want, it's about learning how to handle it, maintain it, and grow with. And many people fail not because they didn't receive the blessing, but because they didn't prepare themselves to sustain it. Let me ask you, how many times have you asked for more, only to lose it because you weren't ready for the responsibility it carried? We've all done it. We asked for the promotion, the opportunity, the relationship. But when it arrives, we let fear, insecurity, and old habits pull us back. We think we're ready for the blessing, but when it shows up, we shrink instead of rise. Here's the truth: the blessing will never come in a way that's convenient. It will always come with demand. And if you've been praying for success, praying for growth, praying for that breakthrough, know this: the moment you get what you asked for, it's no longer just about you. It's about how well you can handle what's been given to you. Because every blessing carries a weight, and every weight needs wisdom to carry it. You want the life that's been promised, the success, the peace, the influence. But do you have the discipline to maintain it? Do you have the character to guard it? Or will you sabotage your own blessing by being unprepared to handle the pressure it brings? The truth is, many people get what they pray for, only to lose it because they weren't ready for the responsibility of it. When the blessing comes, it's not just a reward, it's a responsibility. It will challenge you, it will stretch you, it will test your faith and your focus. It will demand your best, not your leftover. So when the blessing arrives, don't let your old mindset, your old habits, or your old fears pull you backward. You've been praying for this moment, so now is the time to rise to the occasion. The question is, will you step into the new season with confidence, or will you retreat into old patterns that hold you back? Can you handle the success? Can you sustain the growth without sabotaging your progress? You see, the blessing isn't just a reward. It's not about what you have. It's about what you do with it. You've been given the keys, but can you keep the door open? Or will you close it when the pressure gets too much? As you step into this new season, remember, the blessing is only as sustainable as the person you become. And if you can grow into the person who can carry the weight, you won't just sustain the blessing, you'll thrive in it. Now the real challenge is, are you ready to hold on to the blessing without letting it slip through your hands?